Hey everybody. So yeah, I finished last time I finished up the scene animations and then wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do next, but I think this is a great time to at least take an initial stab at um, refactoring the 3JS service so that it's not so enormous and make it more like and make it smaller and sort of separate concerns. And I thought that the very first one I would like to do is animation service. And it is always weird whenever you do a refactor like this because you end up with tons and tons of changes everywhere. Because part of that was like, well, when I had one service, it made sense just to have it on the root. But now that I have two services, it makes sense to have a services directory. And then, until I get to about seven services, it makes sense just to have a services directory. But if I get to like somewhere between 7 and 10, then it makes sense to start breaking those directories down. But as you move files around, uh, lots and lots of changes get made throughout the applications because anywhere where you're importing it needs to be updated. So you end up with like a pretty scary commit. It's really a lot scary. It's got a lot much worse bark than a bite. But anyways, so that's what I did. I'll kind of go over that here in a second. But for now, this is my latest and greatest Eclipse animation. I think it is awesome. It is so much better than the previous ones, which were all pretty good. But this one is great because the background, the scene is working much better. So when you're way out here, it's really bright, and then as you get closer, the background starts to turn more and more dark, and then once you get all the way over here, it's red, and there's your full eclipse. So I'm loving it. I think it's cool. I think the scene is a much better thing. And then I got a great idea because I do want to have more than one kind of animation. Like in the future, when I'm thinking out way out in the future, I'm thinking I want to have like physics animations that are driven by the way a physics engine is deriving information. I would like to have a keyboard animation. So, like as you're moving the keys around, maybe one of these items is animated based on the user input on the keyboard. I would like circular animations, but I think a really simple one that I would be able to do now would be like a path count. So, like animations are all linear now, and there's no reason I couldn't say, okay, it goes from 0 to 5 3 times. So it goes from 0 to 5, 5 back to 0, 0 back to 5, and all that. And that would be really helpful in this situation because then I could have for the colors, I could have them return back to their uh, their original colors so that it's a full animation. So that's cool. The dogs are going crazy because there's a delivery happening. My wife is a bit of a TikTok star, so people send her stuff all the time, and just like little food and gifts and stuff like that. It's really cool. But anyways, that is that. So on this side, most of the actual changes are pretty meaningless. I like, and I've mentioned this on several videos. I like to put my calls in here. I have actually had a couple of comments where people don't like that, and I will say that when I worked as a professional developer, this really does annoy people. I don't know why. It's like, um, yeah, what do you care if there's a script in the if I use packages scripts to make sure that I use the right CLI. Um, but yeah, it bothers people. I like it. Generally, in a professional environment, it doesn't make sense to commit this change, but on like a small personal project, it does make sense. This project would be a little bit too big for that because for saving these things in Git because you'd end up with hundreds of them. Every time I create a component, every time I create a service. But this is the script I created, and then basically the way you would let me see, add terminal. The way you'd run it is you just say npm run animation service, and it's going to run that ng generate service and the name. It's going to run that, and it's going to make sure that it's in the context of the existing application. So it's going to be basically executed out of with programs with a CLI that's out of your node modules, not anything that may be globally installed. Anyways, I love doing it that way. If you don't, I'm sorry. You know, I mean, it's my project, so it doesn't really matter. But I guess you could put a thumbs down on my video for that. But I guess if it makes you feel better, go ahead. App. So basically, I'm inside of I've moved the services to ThreeJS, so it's in the services folder. So that was that change. This is just like the whole thing being moved, or the whole file just getting moved, whole file getting moved. I created this new animation service, and it generated a spec file for unit tests, and then this created the new service, which doesn't do anything at the time. I tried to move some stuff over, and there was problems, and I will go over those when I get there. ThreeJS unit tests, and then here is the new ThreeJS file. So I did try to move over. What is my time? Yeah, I got plenty of time. I'm trying to move over this update. These update. I have like a collection of update lights for time. Oh man. Okay. So, anyways, yeah. The problem with updating with this file is this here. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to go in and everywhere where I call update light for time, pass in the animation item time. One thing I had made a change of, and then I inadvertently, on this reset, I forgot, I guess, when I originally built out the camera animations and the scene animations to do the reset. And that is what happens when you hit this restart button. So I guess those are going to be out of sync at this point, but I do need to update this whole thing, this reset clock for that. But see, reset clock would be is going to be challenging to move into the animation service because I use all these thises. So basically what I'm probably gonna have to do is pass in the clock, pass in the meshes, pass in the lights, pass in everything, and then it can work on its own. It can work outside of, it won't need to be inside of the ThreeJS service. But that was that, and that is in the near future. That's probably what I'll do. See, tomorrow's Saturday, so I'll probably do that on, yeah, I'll probably do that tomorrow. I like working on this project. This is me just moving over. I believe all the rest of them are just moving the import, so that I don't, and it, this is very simple to do because it literally, when you move a file in Angular, it actually asks you, hey, do you want me to update all the imports? And you just say yes. And I've never seen it get that wrong. So for a while, like, people would do these things called rollups, where you can import like everything from a specific directory. For some strange reason, I would see a lot of errors in the compiler with that, of cyclical imports, and then I think in one of the later versions of Angular, they got rid of that error. So it's still, whatever that was going on. And then doing those rollups used to be like, considered it. Angular had like announced that was a best practice, like maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and then eventually they said it's cool if you do it, but it's not really a best practice. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not a best practice either. But anyway, so there's my clips, and happy coding, everybody. Bye.